Welcome to my experiment to see how gallium will fuse with the aluminum of a padlock body and destroy finally the padlock. So this is not working with that padlock, it's the Burg Wächter that I had shown you in my previous video. It's the look lock, and I had it here for maybe 48 hours in total. I heated it up, I scratched it really good, but there is no remarkable destruction yet, or it's going really slow. I'm not sure if the alloy of this specific aluminum is not susceptible for the gallium attack, or if I'm doing something wrong here. Maybe it slowly starts, but I don't know. 48 hours is a lot of time, and I was expecting this to work a little bit better. So I let this lock sit in a corner and do its thing. But I thought I will give it another try on other locks. I bought myself a Burg Wächter Gallium and an Abus titanium, very small guys here. I will scratch them really good, or use a file to get the aluminum surface oxide away, and then I will continue my test, and maybe I will have better luck with these two locks. So stay tuned. So here we have our two victims. The gallium is warmed up. It's inside this little container here. And I have my tool to suck it and put it on the locks. Hope this works. Put two bubbles here. One bubble. And oops. Okay, maybe that's enough. Oops. I think this should do. Let's find out. I will scratch it a little bit so that it has a better chance to fuse with the locks. Do the same for the Burg Wächter. I want to work it in really good. Now we let it sit there and observe it and see what changes. Okay, so you can see it has already some impact, but then it stopped, and I have it there sitting for a whole night and a half day now, and no more change. So I think I will spend the rest of my gallium to hopefully speed things up. I have the gallium warmed up And first I wanna scratch it a little bit more here on the side. That's the most interesting part. It looks like that we can cause the Bible to release the pins. Here on this lock we can see the pin stacks already, or the caps already appearing. So maybe this changes also when we put a little bit more of this gallium on top and let it sit for a longer time. So this should be okay. Now I have the remainder of the gallium here. That's one lock. Oops. Oops. No, here, I want to have it here. This doesn't work well. So the container is now empty. Want to see if I can transfer it. Maybe I will heat it up. For some reason a little bit too cold here. I don't know why. So maybe I use my torch to heat it up. Okay, let me change my setup and I'll be back in a second. I hope this will convince the gallium to become liquid again, so that I can work it in. Okay, maybe this is sufficient. So let's see if I can work it in. This looks pretty good. It feels like I can really touch inside the lock. It's a very strange feeling. Okay, and how is it here? Ah, not too bad. Okay, I think I can remove it from the metal plate here. I'm gonna zoom in again, give you a good shot, and then we will let it sit there for another while and see if it does something. So I want to share with you the current state of the gallium treatment. Here I have one lock. I think it's the ABUS. You can see the side here where 4 pin holes are exposed, and the shackle spring is out and it's starting to get through. Then on the other lock, on the Burg Wächter, it has been eaten into the lock, and we can see some shades here on the other side. And that's the first lock that I tried. We can see a little bit of damage, but nothing really major. So maybe it's because it's too cold here. Maybe it's about 20 degrees Celsius or so, I don't know. If this has any impact, if we can increase the temperature. And I have a setup here. I have a candle that's usually used in this setup for heating up a tea. but I have a construction here where I can put the locks on top. So I will put it on top, and hopefully this is warm. Oh yeah, this is nicely hot. Oh, maybe I increase the height a little bit so that they just get a little bit more than 30 degrees Celsius, and maybe this speeds up the process. Okay, so that's the setup. You can see all the 3 locks, and it's heating up. Let's see if this really can cause the process to become a little bit more quickly. So the locks have left their current setup. We can see a little bit of gallium left over here. Yeah, I want to reuse my desk for usual purposes again. And they were at the previous setup here for about 3 or 4 days now without much change. But there is a little bit of change. So I want to let the experiment still continue. We can see that's the first lock where I started with, and it's still very solid, although we can see a little bit of coloration here on the bottom. That's a lock where I put a lot of gallium on top, and I think when we scratch deep with power in the lock, we could cause some damage, but I want to let the gallium do its job by its own. Then we have the Burg Wächter that shows some damage here on the front, and also coloration change on the other side, but beside of this everything is more or less still okay. Pins are still in, but we can see the pin stacks or the caps, and here there is a crack currently under development, so the lock does change its state, so that's pretty cool. And that's the winner, or the loser lock. That's the ABUS, and without much scratching or without much physical help, we can see a hole here in the middle, and that's what's underneath is the plug. And here we can see the gallium has found its way through the lock to the other side. Pretty cool. All the pins have left their chambers, and also the shackle spring came out all by its own. Very cool. So let me close the lid here, and we will open this again a few days later. So now this is 10 days later. I want to complete the video on the gallium, so let's open it up and look at the locks. Yeah, here they are. Oh, let me put my goggles on just in case something jumps on me. I don't want to get this in my eyes. Other than that, gallium is pretty untoxic. So let me see. We have these 3 locks, and we have keys and some items that fell out of the locks or of the lock. So let's have a look at them one by one. So that's the first lock that I tried to destroy with the gallium. I put a lot of gallium on it, and it's 10 days now since I started with the treatment. You can see it's pretty undamaged. A lot of crazy stuff going on the top, but not so much on the other side. Actually nothing at all. We can see slight colorations here on the side. So let me see if we can break this. No. So this is the lock that shows the most resistance. Oh, yes, we can break it. Actually, it has become softer by the gallium treatment, but not in the amount, not at the amount that I expected. So we can see the structure of the aluminum has suffered, and we can, well, more or less easily destroy the lock with some mild force. Yeah, we can break it piece by piece. But I expected this to be really soft so that I can yeah, take it apart with just my bare hands. But here we go, that's the first lock destroyed. Yeah, we can do this with a hand on the smaller parts. Okay, so let me grab a container so that I can collect all these pieces that belong together to this lock. So here are the parts. Pretty cool. So now let's have a look at the second lock. It's the Burg Wächter Alu Titan. Not so much destruction that we can see from the lock itself. We can see coloration here, some shades, and we can see a crack. So I didn't do anything with the lock beside of putting the gallium on top. Let's see if I can poke into the lock with a screwdriver. Nope, doesn't look like. Does it still work? So I have a key and oh, that's the wrong key. That's also maybe the wrong key. This works. So lock does still work. Can we break it this way? No. I think I need to apply a little bit more force again this time. So let's see if we can break it with a... Oh, there's a spring. I don't know where this spring comes from. Probably from the other lock, from the third lock. So let's see if we can break this. No, we can't. That's interesting. Wow. No. This lock seems to be really resistant. So a little bit of gallium has been traveled through the lock to the other side, but maybe if I hammer on it. But I should have warned you if you wear earphones. Sorry. Again, warning. Nope. I think I have to take this down to my big vise to get this destroyed. So I put this to the side. And now that's the most interesting lock. We can see that it by its own has popped all the driver pins and the springs and the key pins. So some of these parts are here. Yeah, and the shackle spring. So this shows actually the most destruction from the pure gallium treatment, and we can see a little bit of the plug here. It's the ABUS. So when I operate this, of course the plug will turn because we don't have any pins inside. Oh, and it breaks. That's good. So no force required anymore for this lock. So it just comes apart. Yeah, oops, it's interesting. Good that I wear my goggles. Yeah, that's interesting because you can see the difference in the aluminum alloy that shows a remarkable difference in the resistance. So comparing the ABUS with the Burg Wächter, we can see the Burg Wächter is almost completely still intact, while the ABUS with the same treatment, with the same amount of gallium and with the same time that it had to work in the lock, shows a pretty well destroyed lock. Okay, I'm gonna go downstairs with you so we can look in this lock with a little bit more destructive power. So here's the lock tightly clamped in the vise. Let's see if I can twist it open. Does not look like. Nope. Oh, but oh yeah, you can see the pins come out because there is this crack that now increases. Pretty cool. I will continue, I believe. I give you a better view angle to that. All right. Oh, and now it's broken. Okay, not bad. So I don't think you could do this with just the aluminum. Yeah, here we go. So the gallium has clearly weakened the structure. As we can see, I was able to pry it or bend it open. These are the parts. But this gave really the most resistance from all of these locks. Okay, I would grab a container and then we'll have a final look at all the locks. So here is what's left from the 3 locks. That's the Burg Wächter look lock. It was the first lock, that's the lock that I started with. And the material is really hard. It's brittle but still very hard. But we could break it open with 2 pair of pliers. Yeah, when we look at the cut surface, looks kind of cool. It has brass pins, that's a plus for this lock. But when we look at the core, it's definitely a minus, because we can see cost-saving measures, cutouts here and left-out material there to save costs on making this lock. Alright, then we have the ABUS. That was the one that was most easiest to break. So it became brittle, but it's also much softer than the other locks. You can just make a powder out of this ABUS. Very, very cool. But it has a great plug. Round, smooth, so that's a plus. Then we have the other Burg Wächter. This was the one that was hardest to break open. I had to clamp it in a vise, and it's still very, very hard, and you would not be able to break it with your hands. But yeah, the core shows the same cost-saving measures. But when we look at the pins, look at that, there's even a spool. Isn't that cool? You have seen the spool, right? No spools in the ABUS. And the ABUS has aluminum drivers. Here. I haven't found a single spool here in the mess. And even the look lock has brass pins, no aluminum pins, but no security pins. Alright, so It's starting to mix together. Alright, so Matt, thank you very, very much for sending the gallium to me. Had a lot of fun playing with these locks. And yeah, everybody else, thank you very much for watching, and until we meet again, happy picking, cheers, and bye-bye.